Some nights do not begin with noise or drama. Some nights begin with a quiet stomach and a choice no one should have to make. The Grand Star Hotel was famous for bright lights and rich guests, but behind the kitchen doors the lights were softer and the air smelled like soap and warm bread. Leo stood alone near the long metal table, holding a small plate. On it were pieces of food left behind after a big party. Nothing fancy. Just rice, vegetables, and a little chicken that would be thrown away by morning. Leo was an omega. He was small, gentle, and careful with every step he took. He worked harder than most people because he had learned early that kindness did not always protect you. Hunger, however, did not care about pride. He looked around once more. The kitchen was empty. The cooks had gone home. The cleaners would not come for another hour. Leo sat on a stool and began to eat slowly, like he was afraid the food might disappear if he rushed. This was not stealing. The rules said leftovers were trash. But Leo still felt his chest tighten as he ate, because people like him were always watched more closely. Leo did not hear the door open. A sharp laugh broke the quiet. Well, a voice said loud and cold. So this is where the leftovers go. Leo froze. The spoon slipped from his hand and hit the plate with a small sound that felt too big in the silent room. He turned and saw Rowan, the alpha floor manager. Rowan was tall, clean, and always dressed like he owned the place even though he didn't. Rowan's eyes moved from the plate to Leo's face. His smile was not kind. An omega eating guest food? Rowan said. How embarrassing. Leo stood up at once. His hands shook but his voice stayed low. Sir, it was going to be thrown away. Rowan crossed his arms. Rules are rules. Or do they change when you feel hungry? A few other workers stepped in through the door. A dishwasher. A young server. They stopped when they saw Rowan. No one spoke. No one moved. Leo felt heat climb into his face. He wanted to explain. He wanted to say that he had worked 2 extra shifts, that his pay was late, that he had not eaten since morning. But words felt heavy when shame pressed on his chest. Rowan picked up the plate and looked at it like it was dirty. You know, he said loudly, this hotel serves the best food in the city. And yet, here we are watching someone act like this. The others looked away. Some felt sorry. Some were afraid. None stepped forward. Rowan placed the plate back down. Clean this up. And don't let me catch you again. He turned and walked out like the moment was nothing. When the door closed, the room felt colder. Leo stood there for a long time. Then he picked up the plate and threw the food into the trash. His stomach twisted, but he did not cry. Crying never helped. It only made people think you were weak. What Leo did not know was that someone else had seen everything. From the far end of the kitchen, near the stove, a tall alpha in a chef's coat stood quietly. His name was Aaron. He was the head chef, known for calm hands and sharp eyes. People said he cared more about food than people, but that was not true. Aaron had come back for a forgotten notebook. He had stopped when he heard Rowan's voice. He watched. He listened. He saw how Leo stood straight even while being shamed. Aaron did not speak. Not yet. He watched Leo throw the food away. He saw the way Leo's shoulders dropped after, like he had lost something more than dinner. Milo, a kind alpha waiter, rushed in once Rowan was gone. Leo, he whispered, are you okay? Leo nodded even though he wasn't. I'm fine. Milo wanted to say more, but the fear in the room told him to stay quiet. He squeezed Leo's arm once and left. Leo finished cleaning the kitchen. He washed dishes no one would use again that night. He wiped tables that would be dirty again by morning. When his shift ended, he stepped outside into the cool night air. The hotel lights shone behind him, tall and proud. Leo looked at them and wondered how a place so rich could make someone feel so small. What he did not know was that this small moment, the plate, the laughter, the silence, had been seen by the wrong person. And that the quiet alpha chef was not just watching. He was deciding. Because sometimes the first step toward healing and revenge begins with a plate no one thought mattered. Morning came gently to the Grand Star Hotel, but kindness did not arrive with it. Leo returned to work early as he always did. He tied his apron, washed his hands, and kept his eyes down. He told himself that yesterday was over. That if he worked quietly and stayed invisible, nothing bad would happen. But shame has a way of traveling faster than truth. As Leo walked through the back hallway, he felt it before he heard it. Voices lowered when he passed. Laughter stopped too suddenly. Someone whispered his name, then another word that made his chest tighten. Leftovers. Leo pretended not to hear. He focused on the sound of his shoes against the floor. One step. Then another. In the staff room, Ms. Vexa stood with a clipboard pressed against her chest. She was not loud like Rowan, but her silence could be sharper than shouting. Her eyes moved to Leo the moment he entered. "Leo," she said. "My office. Now." The room went quiet. Milo looked up from tying his apron, worry clear on his face. Leo gave him a small nod, the kind that meant please don't get involved. Milo hated that nod. Inside the office, the door closed softly but the air felt heavy. Ms. Vexa did not sit. "Do you know why you're here?" Leo swallowed. "Because of last night." She sighed like she was tired, not angry. "Rowan reported your behavior. Eating guest food is unacceptable." "It was going to be thrown away," Leo said carefully. "I wasn't stealing." Ms. Vexa looked at him for a long moment. "Intent doesn't change rules." She wrote something on her clipboard. "This is a warning. One more report and I won't be able to protect you." "Protect you." The words sounded kind but they felt empty. Leo nodded. "I understand." When he left the office, the whispers were louder. Rowan stood near the front desk, speaking to two other alphas. He did not lower his voice. "Some people forget their place," Rowan said. "If we let one Omega break rules, others will follow." Leo felt like the floor tilted beneath him. He wanted to disappear into the walls. Milo stepped closer to Rowan. "That's not fair," he said, his voice shaking but firm. "Leo works harder than anyone." Rowan smiled. "Then maybe he should learn to work without begging for scraps." The words cut deeper than Leo expected. Not because they were new but because people were listening. No one defended him after that. Leo spent the day moving like a shadow. Washing, carrying, cleaning. Each task felt heavier than the last. His stomach hurt, but hunger was not the worst pain. It was the feeling of being unwanted. During lunch break, Leo sat alone behind the building. Eli, his childhood friend, found him there. "They're talking," Eli said softly. "But they're wrong." Leo shrugged. "Talking doesn't stop." Eli frowned. "You shouldn't have to live like this." Leo looked at his hands. "I always have." That afternoon in the kitchen, Chef Aaron watched again. He noticed how Leo flinched when someone raised their voice. How he apologized even when he did nothing wrong. How he kept working when others slowed down. Aaron's jaw tightened. He remembered his own past, being judged before being known, dismissed before being heard. Power had taught him one thing. Silence could protect, but it could also allow harm to grow. Rowan entered the kitchen later, inspecting like a king. "Make sure tonight's service is perfect," he said. "No mistakes." His eyes landed on Leo. "Especially you." Leo nodded. "Yes, sir." Aaron turned from the stove. "Rowan," he said calmly, "if there's a problem with the kitchen, you bring it to me." Rowan smiled stiffly. "Of course, chef." But when Rowan left, Aaron spoke quietly to Leo. "You did nothing wrong." Leo blinked, surprised. "Sir?" "Eat before you faint," Aaron said. "And stop apologizing for breathing." It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it felt like someone opening a window in a locked room. That night, Leo lay in bed staring at the ceiling of his small room. His body was tired, but his mind would not rest. He wondered how long he could survive like this. How many days of whispers? How many nights of hunger? What he didn't know was that the walls around Rowan were already cracking. Because the alpha chef had begun to speak. And when someone like Aaron chose to speak, the hotel would never be the same again. The Grand Star Hotel looked the same on the outside, but something inside it had shifted. Leo felt it the moment he walked in that morning. The air was thicker, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. He kept his head down and went straight to work, reminding himself of Chef Aaron's words from the night before. "You did nothing wrong." The words helped, but they did not erase fear. Rowan was already moving through the halls, giving orders with sharp steps and louder voices than usual. He smiled too often, the kind of smile that tried to hide worry. Leo noticed it even if others didn't. In the kitchen, Chef Aaron worked in calm silence. His hands moved with care, his eyes missing nothing. He watched how Rowan spoke to workers, how Ms. Vexa avoided looking too closely, how Milo hovered near Leo like a quiet shield. Aaron said little, but he remembered everything. That afternoon a mistake happened. Not by Leo, but by another worker who spilled soup near the service door. Rowan arrived at once, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is what happens when standards fall," Rowan snapped. His eyes turned to Leo like the blame had already been chosen. "Clean it. Now." Leo knelt without a word. The floor was cold. His hands trembled as he wiped the mess. He felt eyes on him, but no one spoke. Except one voice. "That's enough." Chef Aaron stepped forward. His tone was calm, but it carried weight. "He didn't make the mess." Rowan stiffened. Chef with respect. I said that's enough. The kitchen went silent. Aaron looked at the worker who caused the spill. Accidents happen. Fix it and move on. Then he turned to Leo. Stand up. Leo hesitated, then rose slowly. Rowan laughed, trying to sound relaxed. You're getting soft, Chef. Aaron's eyes met his. I'm getting fair. Rowan said nothing more, but his jaw tightened. For the first time, people saw him step back. Whispers began again, but these were different. Softer. Curious. Later that day, Milo found Leo in the storage room. Did you see his face? Milo whispered. Rowan didn't expect that. Leo nodded. I don't want trouble. Milo smiled sadly. Sometimes trouble finds you anyway. That night, Leo stayed late to finish inventory. He worked quietly, alone between tall shelves. He thought about leaving the hotel, about starting over somewhere new. But fear followed him there too. He did not hear footsteps until they stopped behind him. Chef Aaron stood there, holding a folder. You work too hard, Aaron said. Leo turned, startled. I don't want to be a problem. Aaron frowned slightly. Being hungry is not a crime. Being kind is not weakness. Leo looked down. People don't see it that way. They will, Aaron said. Soon. He handed Leo the folder. Inside was a new schedule. Better hours. Paid meals. Leo's breath caught. Sir, I didn't ask for this. I know, Aaron said. That's why you deserve it. For the first time in a long while, Leo felt warmth that had nothing to do with food. But healing never comes without resistance. Across the hotel, Rowan stood in his office, gripping his desk. He replayed the moment Aaron had corrected him. The way everyone had watched. The way control had slipped through his fingers. He made a decision then. If silence was breaking, he would twist the noise. The next morning, a notice appeared on the staff board. New rules. Stricter rules. And one line circled in red. Any misuse of hotel property will lead to immediate dismissal. Leo read it twice. His stomach dropped. Rowan watched from across the room, satisfaction clear in his eyes. What Rowan did not understand was that silence was no longer protecting him. It was protecting Leo. And the alpha chef was done waiting. Because when silence becomes cruelty, speaking up is no longer a choice. It is a promise. Some pain does not fade with time. It only learns how to stay quiet. Leo woke before dawn, staring at the ceiling of his small room. The notice on the staff board replayed in his mind again and again. Immediate dismissal. The words felt heavy, like they were meant for him alone. He dressed slowly and left early, hoping to avoid people. The city outside was still half asleep, wrapped in pale morning light. Leo liked this hour. It was the only time the world felt gentle. At the hotel, the halls were quiet. But inside Leo's chest, memories were loud. He remembered another place years ago when his life had fallen apart just as quietly. His parents had worked for a wealthy family who promised security. When money was lost, promises disappeared. One by one, doors closed. Friends stopped calling. Neighbors looked away. Leo had learned then that when things go wrong, people often choose blame instead of kindness. That lesson followed him everywhere. In the kitchen, Milo greeted him with a worried smile. You saw the notice? Leo nodded. I'll be careful. Milo wanted to say more, but footsteps approached. Rowan entered, eyes sharp, posture stiff. He looked at Leo for a moment longer than needed. Remember the rules? Rowan said loudly. No exceptions. Yes, sir, Leo replied. Rowan walked away, satisfied. Chef Aaron arrived soon after. He noticed the tightness in Leo's shoulders, the way his hands moved faster than usual. Aaron said nothing, but his eyes followed Rowan until he disappeared down the hall. During the morning rush, Leo worked without stopping. He refused breaks. He checked every plate twice. Still, fear sat heavy in his stomach. At midday, Eli visited again. He brought a small bag of food and a smile that tried to hide concern. You don't have to be strong all the time, Eli said quietly as they sat outside. Leo shook his head. If I'm not, I disappear. Eli sighed. You shouldn't have to earn being treated like a person. Leo looked away. I don't know any other way. Inside the hotel, Rowan met with Ms. Vexa. Things are slipping, he said. People are getting ideas. Ms. Vexa hesitated. Chef Aaron has been more involved. Rowan's lips tightened. He's just a chef. But doubt crept in, unwanted and sharp. That afternoon, a delivery went missing. Boxes of supplies did not arrive on schedule. Rowan saw his chance. He stormed into the kitchen. Inventory shows missing stock. Who handled delivery records? Leo's heart sank. He had signed for the morning shipment. Rowan pointed at him. You. Leo opened his mouth. I checked everything. The delivery was short. Rowan sneered. Or you took it. The room froze. Milo stepped forward. That's not true. Rowan raised a hand. Stay out of this. Chef Aaron walked in at that moment, drawn by the noise. What's going on? Rowan spoke quickly. Missing supplies. He signed for them. Aaron looked at Leo. Leo met his eyes, fear clear but honesty unbroken. I didn't take anything, Leo said softly. Aaron nodded once. Check the vendor logs. Rowan scoffed. We don't have time. Aaron's voice hardened. We make time. The logs showed the truth. The shipment was short. The mistake was not Leo's. Rowan's face flushed. He forced a laugh. Seems I jumped too fast. No apology followed. But something else did. That evening, Aaron called Leo into his office. The room was simple, warm, nothing like Rowan's cold space. You've been carrying this alone for too long, Aaron said. Leo looked down. I'm used to it. Aaron leaned forward. You shouldn't be. For a moment, Leo almost spoke about his past. About the loss. About the nights he went to bed hungry. The words sat on his tongue, trembling. He swallowed them back. Outside the office, Rowan watched the door close. His jaw clenched. He felt it now, control slipping, respect shifting, eyes turning away from him. Rowan made another decision. If truth would not break Leo, then lies would try. What Rowan did not understand was that healing had already begun. And once healing starts, cruelty loses its grip. Because scars remember, but they also remind. They remind you that you survived. There are moments when time slows, not because the world stops moving, but because everyone senses something important is about to happen. That night was one of those moments. The Grand Star Hotel prepared for its biggest event of the season. Guests arrived dressed in shining clothes, laughter echoing through the halls. Music drifted softly from the ballroom. The kitchen buzzed with movement, heat, and sharp focus. Leo stood at his station, hands steady, heart not so much. He had done everything right that day. He checked every order, followed every rule, and spoke only when spoken to. Still, fear sat deep inside him, heavy and cold. Rowan had barely looked at him all afternoon, and that silence felt more dangerous than shouting. Milo stayed close, offering quiet help and small smiles. Just get through tonight, Milo whispered. Then we'll breathe. Leo nodded. Across the room, Rowan watched. His eyes were sharp, calculating. He had waited for this night. With so many witnesses, with so many important guests, a mistake would not go unnoticed. And if there was no mistake, Rowan would make one. The dinner service began smoothly. Plates moved fast. Orders flowed cleanly. Chef Aaron guided the kitchen with calm authority, his presence steady like an anchor. Every now and then, his eyes found Leo, not to watch for failure, but to make sure he was still standing. That alone made Leo's chest ache. Halfway through service, Rowan entered the kitchen with purpose. His voice cut through the noise. Stop. Everything froze. What is this? Rowan held up a plate taken from a side table. It was a staff meal plate, simple and plain. Rowan turned slowly, making sure everyone could see. I was told someone was seen eating again. During service. Leo's heart dropped. Rowan's eyes locked onto him. You. The room went silent. I didn't, Leo began, but Rowan raised his voice. Don't lie, Rowan said. We've been generous enough. Guests near the open kitchen turned to look. Whispers spread. Faces leaned closer. Leo felt the familiar burn of shame rise up his neck. His hands trembled. He wanted to disappear. I followed the rules, Leo said quietly. I didn't take anything. Rowan laughed. Everyone hears that excuse. Ms. Vexa appeared, her face tight. Rowan, this isn't the place. This is exactly the place, Rowan replied. People should know what kind of staff they're trusting. Leo's breath came shallow. The room felt too big, too bright. Memories pressed in, other rooms, other voices, other moments when he had stood alone while people judged him. He lowered his head. And that was when the room truly changed. Enough. Chef Aaron stepped forward. His voice was calm, not loud, but it carried through the space like a clear bell. Every sound faded. Rowan turned. Chef, this is a staff issue. No, Aaron said. This is a respect issue. Aaron walked to Leo's side. Not in front of him. Beside him. You are humiliating an innocent worker, Aaron continued. In front of guests. Rowan scoffed. With all respect, you don't run this hotel. The air went still. Aaron looked at Rowan, his expression unreadable. Actually, he said, I do. Pause. Then confusion. Then silence so deep it felt loud. I am the owner of the Grand Star Hotel, Aaron said evenly. I choose to work as a chef because I want to. And I will not allow cruelty under my roof. Gasps spread through the room. Ms. Vexa froze. Guests whispered openly now. Rowan's face drained of color. That's not funny. Aaron didn't smile. It wasn't meant to be. He turned to the staff and guests. Leo did nothing wrong. Any food he ate was approved. Any rule used against him was twisted for control. Rowan stumbled back. You can't just. I can, Aaron said. And I am. Aaron faced Rowan fully now. You are relieved of your position. Effective immediately. The words landed hard. Security stepped forward. Rowan's mouth opened but no sound came out. He looked around for support. Found none. As Rowan was led away, the room slowly breathed again. Aaron turned to Leo. You don't need to be afraid here. Leo's eyes filled but he did not cry. Not from shame this time. From relief. Guests returned to their meals, buzzing with quiet excitement. The kitchen resumed work but something had changed forever. Leo stood there, still shaking as Milo placed a hand on his shoulder. You're safe, Milo whispered. Leo nodded, still stunned. He did not know yet that this was only the beginning. Because public shame had been answered with public truth. And when truth speaks, healing listens. After the doors closed behind Rowan, the hotel did not cheer. It did something quieter. It steadied itself. The Grand Star Hotel returned to its rhythm, but the air felt lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from the walls. People moved more carefully now, not out of fear but awareness. Words mattered. Actions mattered. Leo stood in the kitchen long after the dinner rush ended, still trying to understand what had happened. His name had been spoken in front of everyone, but this time it was not wrapped in shame. It was wrapped in truth. Chef Aaron spoke to the staff calmly. Take a short break. Then we finish strong. There was no shouting. No anger. Just order. Ms. Vexa approached Leo slowly. Her voice was softer than he had ever heard it. I should have listened sooner, she said. I'm sorry. Leo nodded. He didn't know what to say. Apologies felt strange when you had grown used to blame. Milo stayed close, like he was afraid Leo might disappear if he let go. You okay? He asked quietly. Leo took a breath. I think so. But deep inside something was shaking. Not fear. Change. Later that night, Aaron asked Leo to meet him in his office again. Leo hesitated before knocking, his fingers tight at his side. Come in, Aaron said. The office felt warmer than before. A lamp glowed softly. 2 cups of tea sat on the desk. Sit, Aaron said. Leo did. You didn't deserve any of that, Aaron said plainly. And I should have acted sooner. Leo looked down. You saved me. Aaron shook his head. You survived on your own long before I stepped in. Silence stretched between them, but it wasn't heavy. I know what it's like, Aaron continued, to be judged before you speak. To be watched instead of trusted. Leo looked up, surprised. I didn't start with power, Aaron said. I earned it. And I learned something along the way. If you wait too long to stop cruelty, it grows. Leo nodded slowly. I want to make this right, Aaron said. Not just for you. For everyone. The next morning a meeting was called. All staff gathered in the main hall. People whispered nervously, unsure what would come next. Aaron stood at the front. From today on, he said, this hotel will run on fairness. Meals for staff are approved. Mistreatment will not be ignored. And anyone who speaks up will be heard. He paused. Including Omegas. Eyes turned toward Leo. Not judging. Watching. Learning. For the first time, Leo didn't shrink under their gaze. Rowan's office was emptied by noon. His name removed from schedules. His power erased not with anger but finality. That was the revenge, clean, quiet, and deserved. But revenge alone does not heal. That part came slowly. Over the next few days, Leo noticed small changes. People greeted him. Asked for his opinion. Offered help. He still flinched sometimes, expecting the old voices to return. They didn't. Milo continued to be gentle and steady, always there when Leo doubted himself. Aaron watched from a distance, protective but respectful, never crossing a line. 2 alphas. Very different. One offered warmth and comfort. The other offered safety and strength. And Leo, the Omega who had once eaten in secret, stood between them, learning what it meant to be valued. One evening, Leo found himself eating a full meal at the staff table. No whispers. No stares. Just quiet conversation and soft laughter. He paused mid-bite, surprised by the tight feeling in his chest. Healing, he realized, did not arrive all at once. Came in moments like this. In full plates. In open doors. In knowing that if someone tried to hurt him again he would not be alone. But far away, Rowan sat in a small apartment, staring at his phone, anger burning in his chest. He told himself this wasn't over. That he had been humiliated. He did not understand that the story had already moved past him. Because when someone loses power built on cruelty, it rarely comes back. And when an Omega begins to heal, the world must adjust. Not the other way around. Healing is not loud. It does not arrive with cheers or sudden joy. It arrives in small moments. Moments so quiet that you almost miss them if you are not paying attention. Leo began to notice those moments everywhere. He noticed them when he walked into the kitchen and no one looked away. When his name was spoken without a sharp edge. When his hands no longer shook every time someone raised their voice. The hotel had changed, but so had he. Still, some habits were hard to let go. Leo worked late one evening, carefully organizing supplies. He told himself it was because the work needed to be done, but part of him still believed that being useful was the only way to stay safe. Milo found him there. "You don't have to stay," Milo said gently. Leo smiled faintly. "I like finishing things." Milo leaned against the shelf. "Or you're afraid to stop." The words were kind, not accusing. Leo's smile faded. "I don't know how to rest," Leo admitted. Milo nodded. "That makes sense." They sat in silence for a moment. It wasn't awkward. It was easy. Milo had always been like that, warm, steady, never pushing. When Leo laughed, Milo smiled like it mattered. When Leo was quiet, Milo stayed. Across the kitchen, Chef Aaron watched them from a distance. He had noticed it too. Not jealousy. Not anger. Concern. Aaron respected boundaries, but he couldn't ignore the pull he felt toward Leo. Not because Leo was weak, but because Leo was strong in a way that had cost him deeply. Aaron remembered the way Leo had stood during the public shame. How he had not begged. How he had held himself together even when the world pressed down. Strength like that deserved protection. That night, Aaron called Leo into his office, not for work, but for conversation. "You're changing," Aaron said. Leo sat carefully. "Is that bad?" Aaron shook his head. "It's good. But change can be scary." Leo nodded. "I don't want to depend on anyone." "Trust isn't dependence," Aaron said. "It's choice." The words stayed with Leo long after he left the office. Over the next few days, Leo found himself standing between two kinds of care. Milo offered softness. He brought extra tea. He asked how Leo slept. He made space for laughter. Aaron offered stability. He made sure Leo was paid fairly. He corrected others without making Leo the center of attention. He stood quietly behind him in meetings, a solid presence. Two alphas. Different. Both sincere. Leo felt confused, not overwhelmed but uncertain. He had spent so long believing he deserved nothing that now, having choices, felt unfamiliar. One afternoon, the hotel received news that Rowan had filed a complaint, claiming unfair dismissal. The staff buzzed with worry. Leo felt the old fear rise again. Aaron handled it calmly. "Truth stands," he said. "Let it." Milo found Leo afterward, concern clear in his eyes. "He can't hurt you now." "I know," Leo said. "But my body doesn't." Milo reached out, then hesitated, giving Leo space. "I'll stay. If you want." Leo nodded. That evening, Leo stood alone on the rooftop watching city lights flicker below. The wind was cool. His thoughts were heavy. Aaron joined him, silent at first. "You don't have to decide anything," Aaron said at last. Leo looked at him. "I don't know how to choose." Aaron met his gaze. "Then don't." "Not yet." Milo appeared shortly after, holding 3 cups of tea. He handed one to each of them without comment. They stood together, not touching, not speaking much. Just sharing space. For Leo it was new. Not pressure. Not fear. Just possibility. But even as healing continued, the past had not fully let go. Rowan was still out there. And betrayal rarely ends quietly. Because the closer Leo's heart leaned toward trust, the more dangerous old wounds became. And the story was not done testing him yet. Healing feels strongest right before it is tested. Leo learned that on a quiet afternoon when the past knocked without warning. The hotel was calm that day. Sunlight streamed through tall windows. Guests checked in with smiles. For once, Leo felt almost normal as he moved through his tasks. Not invisible. Not watched. Just present. Then Ms. Vexa called him into her office. Her face was tense. "There's been a formal complaint," she said carefully. Leo's chest tightened. He already knew who it was from. "Rowan," she continued. "He claims wrongful dismissal and discrimination." The words fell like stones. Leo nodded slowly. He had expected this, yet his hands still trembled. "What does that mean for me?" Ms. Vexa hesitated. "He mentioned you by name." The old fear rushed back, fast and sharp. Leo felt like he was standing in the same place again, waiting to be blamed. But this time something was different. Chef Aaron was already there. He stepped forward, his voice steady. "It means nothing changes. Truth doesn't bend because someone is angry." Ms. Vexa exhaled. "There will be a review. Statements will be taken." Leo swallowed. "I can speak." Aaron looked at him, surprised. "You don't have to." "I want to," Leo said. The words felt strange in his mouth. Strong. That evening, Leo sat alone in his room, staring at the wall. Speaking meant remembering. Remembering meant reopening scars. A knock came at the door. Milo stood there holding 2 cups of warm soup. "I heard." Leo stepped aside. "I'm scared," he admitted. Milo set the cups down. "That makes sense. But you're not alone." They sat together quietly. Milo didn't rush him. Didn't tell him to be brave. He just stayed. The next day the review began. Leo sat across from unfamiliar faces. Papers were spread out. Voices were calm but serious. They asked about the leftovers. The shaming. The missing delivery. The night Rowan was dismissed. Leo spoke slowly at first. His voice shook. But as he spoke, something settled inside him. He wasn't explaining himself to survive anymore. He was telling the truth because it mattered. Chef Aaron provided records. Logs. Footage. Statements. The story was clear. Rowan's version cracked under its own weight. Still, when the meeting ended, Leo felt drained. He stepped outside, the city air cool against his skin. For a moment, doubt crept in. What if it's not enough? That was when Rowan appeared. He stood across the street watching. Leo froze. Rowan smiled thinly. "Looks like you found powerful friends." Leo said nothing. Rowan stepped closer. "Don't forget who you were before this place." Something shifted in Leo then. He didn't step back. "I remember," Leo said quietly. "That's why this won't work anymore." Rowan's smile faded. "You think they'll stay?" Rowan sneered. "Power gets bored." Leo looked past him, not afraid now. "Maybe. But I won't disappear for you again." Rowan said nothing more. He turned and walked away, smaller than before. Later that night, Aaron and Milo waited for Leo in the staff lounge. "It's over," Aaron said. "The complaint won't stand." Leo let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Milo smiled. "You did great." Leo nodded. Then unexpectedly tears came. Not loud. Not messy. Just real. Milo moved closer, offering comfort. Aaron stayed where he was, giving space but not distance. 2 alphas. 1 omega. And a choice that no longer felt like fear. Leo wiped his face and laughed softly. "I think I'm ready to live. Not just survive." Aaron smiled, proud. Milo squeezed his hand gently. Healing had been tested. And it had held. Because true strength isn't proven when things are easy. It's proven when the past tries one last time, and fails. There comes a moment when silence is no longer protection. For Leo, that moment arrived quietly without fear chasing it. The hotel had settled into its new rhythm. Rowan's name was no longer spoken. His shadow no longer reached the halls. The complaint had been closed, the truth sealed and accepted. Leo stood in the kitchen one evening, watching steam rise from a pot. For the first time, his hands were steady not because he was careful, but because he felt safe. Safe enough to think about his heart. Milo laughed nearby, helping another worker. His laughter was warm, easy, the kind that invited others in. When he noticed Leo watching, he smiled and waved him over. "Come eat with us," Milo said. Leo hesitated, then nodded. They sat at the staff table together. Conversation flowed around them, but Leo found himself focusing on small things. The way Milo listened, the way he never rushed, the way he looked at Leo like his presence mattered. Later that night, Aaron asked Leo to walk with him through the quiet halls. The lights were low. The hotel breathed softly around them. "You've grown," Aaron said. Leo smiled faintly. "I didn't know I could." Aaron stopped near a window overlooking the city. "You didn't just grow. You chose yourself." The word stayed with Leo. He realized then that both alphas had given him something different. Milo gave him warmth when the world felt cold. Aaron gave him safety when the world felt sharp. Neither asked for anything in return. That night, Leo stood on the rooftop again, the place where his thoughts always found honesty. Milo joined him first. "You okay?" he asked. Leo took a breath. "I care about you." Milo didn't rush. He nodded slowly. "I care about you too. In whatever way you need." Then Aaron arrived, stopping a respectful distance away. "I didn't plan this," Leo said softly. "But my heart is big enough to feel more than one kind of love." Aaron met his gaze. Love doesn't have to be small to be real. There was no jealousy. No anger. Only honesty. They talked. Slowly. Carefully. About trust. About boundaries. About choosing each other without fear. Leo felt something settle deep inside him. Not confusion, but peace. For the first time, his heart was not running or hiding. It was choosing. The next day, Leo walked through the hotel with his head high. He wasn't owned. He wasn't rescued. He was loved. And that made all the difference. But one final step remained. The future. And futures are built, not imagined. The morning sun spilled across the Grand Star Hotel, soft and golden, lighting up every corner that had once felt heavy with shame. For Leo it was different now. The air smelled like possibility, and even the clatter of dishes in the kitchen sounded like music instead of stress. He walked through the halls, head high. Staff greeted him warmly. Guests smiled as they passed. No one whispered, no one pointed. He had been seen, truly seen for the first time. At the staff table, Milo waited with a plate of food and that gentle smile that had never wavered. "Morning," Milo said. "Morning," Leo replied, settling down. He felt the warmth of company, of belonging, of friendship, and maybe something more. Chef Aaron arrived next, not because he had to check on Leo but because he wanted to be there. "Ready for the day?" he asked. His tone was calm, steady, the way Leo had learned to trust. Leo nodded. Yes. The two alphas flanked him in different ways. Milo offered laughter, comfort, and light. Aaron offered safety, guidance, and strength. Leo felt the pull of both, but he no longer felt torn. He didn't have to choose only one. He could accept both kinds of love and care. The hotel hummed around them. New staff joined in, inspired by the changes Aaron had put in place. No one was shamed for mistakes. No one was forced into silence. Everyone had a voice. Leo realized that he had helped create this, by surviving, by speaking the truth, by simply being himself. He thought about Rowan, far away, trying and failing to undo what had been done. Leo didn't feel anger. Just clarity. He had stepped out of the shadow of shame and into light, and no one could take that away. Sitting at the table, Leo laughed freely for the first time in years. Milo joined him, and Aaron leaned against the counter nearby, sharing a quiet moment of satisfaction. The three of them didn't need grand gestures. Their bond was built in small, unshakable ways: trust, care, protection, and love. The day went on smoothly. Guests were happy. The staff was confident. And Leo? He moved through the hotel like someone who knew where he belonged. He had survived shame, fear, and betrayal, and he had come out stronger. That evening, the three of them stood on the rooftop looking over the city. Milo passed Leo a cup of tea. Aaron stood silently, hands in his pockets, eyes on the horizon. Leo felt a quiet joy he had never known, peace, love, and choice all wrapped together. No more hiding. No more fear. Only possibility. Only life. Only a new table where he could sit and be himself, fully loved, fully accepted. Because sometimes the smallest moments, eating a plate of leftovers in secret, standing tall in the face of shame, can lead to the biggest changes. Leo's story wasn't just about surviving. It was about rising, choosing, and finding love where he least expected it. And as the city lights began to twinkle below, he knew that this was only the beginning of his happiness.